On today's show, I had one of the greatest nights of my life last night. And I think a lot of Clipper fans can say the same. Going to be talking about an absolute massacre in what was a historic night for our fan base and this franchise on today's Locked On Playoff Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and going into in my 20th season as a Clipper fan, been covering the Clippers for 5 years on my own personal YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, and 5 years, 3 years right here on Locked On Clippers of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell, and of course you can follow and listen wherever you get your podcasts. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Clipper Nation, 2-1 series lead. What a night this was. I don't even know where to begin. I'll be talking about my just what happened. And then we're going to be talking about the real advantages that we now see that we have in this series that have been proven through these first 3 games. And then Norman Powell and why I think he was, the most important good performance tonight or last night. But it is 5:14 in the morning as I'm recording this right now. I am so amped. I haven't been able to sleep. I got home and I've just been literally either rewatching the game just to see how he sounded or reading Twitter and seeing everyone's tweets. And you have a vision about these kinds of nights, and then you actually go out there and experience that, seeing your dream literally come true. As corny as that sounds, the electricity in that building, and I think there were some moments in the third quarter where the crowd really tailed off. I'll talk about that in a sec, but there was this electricity that I had not felt at a Clipper playoff game really ever, because it's our own building. It was the second Ballmer talked about the wall and all these things to, magnify the sound, or maximize the sound, I should say, before the arena was built. We all thought, man, a playoff game there sounds so lit. Well, here I am on Friday, April 25th, 2025, in our first year at Intuit Dome, the night after our first playoff game. And I think it was undoubtedly the loudest Clipper playoff first-round game since Game 7 against the Spurs in 2015. I don't think anyone really comes that close in the first round since then. And I did not go to the Warriors series in 2019 because I was in college, but literally it looked like 30% at least of the stadium was Warriors, so there's no way that those are even in competition for tonight. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to play Denver and not the Lakers and the Warriors, was to have a full-on home court advantage. I mean, I saw some Nuggets fans, but it was so small you couldn't hear a peep when they scored. So I was blessed, thanks to my man Casey, who's the leader of the Swell, got me in row 1 at the game, at row 1 of the wall, which was insane. I was the closest guy to the Nuggets bench, and I mean, it was just such a surreal experience. I think the first half was, the highlight of it all. But this game was pretty much over at halftime. I did not expect it to be so easy for us. And in the beginning, we were struggling defensively just a bit. They were going to more Jokic to high post as opposed to him setting screens for Murray. And they were just doing a lot of cutting off of Jokic in the high post. And, Norman Powell, I don't remember exactly anyone else, but I just specifically remember Norman Powell got beat one time, and several guys, Chris Dunn as well by Michael Porter, got beat backdoor. And Jokic, was able to thread the needle. And they were making some threes early on. Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter, I think, made a 3 early on. They were just, in the first quarter, hitting. And all of a sudden, we started hitting. And it really comes down to what I talked about. They just don't have the same resistance for us that we do for them. When I was on the Locked On Squad show, before the series started, and Matt Morris said the Denver Nuggets defense is a joke, and he was about to keep talking after that, that let me know that, whoa, if a guy that covers the Nuggets and talks about them every game is saying that their defense is a joke, that team is not going to beat this Clipper team. Not if Kawhi is healthy. No way. Our defense is anything but a joke. You see the ball pressure Chris Dunn is putting on Jamal Murray? You see, first of all, Nicholas Batum. I mean, are there? I said it before the series, and we've known this. It seems like we've known this all year long. We've been saving Nico for these moments. He's had the weirdest minutes season of like any role player I've ever seen with the Clippers. Like he literally had games this season where he got 8 minutes. I'm like, okay, Nico's old, but like he's not that old. He's not old enough to where he should be playing very few minutes when he's very good at a lot. Like in terms of the combination of defense and threes, if you want to talk 3 and D, just the raw combo, he's better than Chris Dunn and Derek Jones, but they give you a different level of what they do great. And I think they are at this point. I think Derek Jones is better than Nico because of his athleticism. But I don't know. A good Nico is so impactful sometimes. Honestly, give me your in the thoughts because Chris Dunn has been so great too. He's so good at what he does. Honestly, rank them. Like respect. I'm not even trying to divide any. Like I'm not trying to do dividing. I just love them all so much. I'm just curious to hear what your basketball opinion is. Who do you think's the best player of those 3? Rank them 1, 2, 3. It's a great discussion to have because it's not our problem because they're all on the same team. So who cares what anybody thinks? It's just opinion, right? And Nico, his ability to guard guards, his off-ball defense, the deflections, the blocks from the coming out of nowhere. I mean, there was one that he just pinned off the glass. And it was funny. I was watching the replay. You can see my reaction on TV. And then, I mean, that 3-ball to end the first quarter after, by the way, it wasn't the hottest start from Kawhi or anyone on the Clippers. Chris Dunn made 2 threes early. But after going scoreless for like a minute in that first quarter, Harden had one of those classic Harden heaters where he hit 3 threes, had a floater off the glass where he literally looked like he fumbled the ball. So he really put some energy. I mean, the building was already on 100, but after we were only down by 1, and I think it was 25-26, there was a timeout. When I was watching the replay, I was like, oh man, the crowd doesn't sound nearly as loud since right before this timeout. And then when Harden made another 3, we got to kick up the ass. I mean, I was in the swell, so obviously that's really loud. But man, I got to say, the section to my right, wall 15, there were some people cheering in there, but there was a lot of people it was just like Staples Center, sitting there watching, observing, not standing up when the team, going into a timeout when we were on a run. Like, it was obviously a great atmosphere overall and one of the better Clipper games atmosphere-wise I've ever been to. But I would not say number 1 just because the game in the second half was decided. But we still need, I mean, if you want to talk about the fan conversation, I mean, I think there still needs to be less neutrals, more Clipper fans. And that's just a matter of building more fans and continuing to be a winning organization and doing what we're doing. And it's a lot of that is on the court. It's about the team winning. And then, of course, the people in the wall making it look like a fun place to be for kids. Because the Lakers, they've owned the local market. And they still do. But it's the young fans that have, like, the kids that I coach that are like 14 years old, 13 years old, they literally have seen the Clippers be better than the Lakers except for that one bubble championship. Like, more often than not, the Clippers are better in their life. So it's those kind of kids, those generations where we got to really just get them. But, as far as what I was going to say was that Nico Batum 3 on the Harden behind the back, the crowd, like, I literally have not stopped watching that play. Like, everybody's angle of it. You're getting big time media members and actual national accounts talking about the wall and how crazy the atmosphere was. Laker fans are saying, why can't our crowd be like that? Like, it reminds me of when we made the playoffs for the first time with Lob City and everybody was like, whoa, like the Clipper fans sound lit. The only complaint I have is we're getting too many props and not the ones that matter. Red shirts, no nothing else. I'm begging for it. But what a performance. It literally felt too easy. We outscored the Nuggets 35-28 and ended that quarter on a 10-0 run and then took that momentum into the second quarter, went on a 7-0 run in the second quarter and made it a 17-0 run in totality there outscored the Nuggets 30-19 in the second. So we had them clamped up in the second, honestly, for the rest of the game. Then in the third quarter, we outscored them 25-23. So the second straight game where the third quarter was just kind of a trading baskets quarter, no separation really created. And then the fourth quarter was just a nonsense affair. We were up 27-13, and they pulled the plug with several minutes to go. So it was just a comprehensive blowout, a 34-point victory. I mean, when you win by 34, that's quite the statement, because we could have been up 2-0. We probably should have been up 2-0. And this game wasn't even close. Nikola Jokic still had a triple-double somehow. I didn't even notice. This is my first time seeing the box score. I did not even notice. 23 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists. Not taking anything away from Jokic. He was efficient offensively, 9 for 14, but he needs to shoot more shots. It's to the point where Jokic needs to shoot some bad shots. It is to that point. You know what I'm saying? The greats did it. Like, you think Michael Jordan, Kobe, Larry Bird. I don't know about Larry Bird because I didn't get to see him as much. Same with Jordan to some degree. But, like, I've seen LeBron and Kobe take tons of quote-unquote bad shots. Of course, Kobe more than LeBron, but he was a better tough shot maker. Jokic, KD, these two guys in particular, very efficient. They don't, and that's part of why they're efficient, is they don't take quote-unquote bad shots. But when you don't have the other guys that can knock down shots, you're going to have to do it. So Jokic is going to have to shoot more, or else they're not going to have a chance in this series. I didn't notice anything too different scheme-wise from us at all. But I didn't really notice anything different from them. I don't think they can do much in terms of, like, defensive stuff. But, I mean, it was just an amazing night. And and if you're wondering, dude, we did not come to listen to you talk about the crowd. Want to hear you talk about the game. I'll be doing that. Relax. But I have to say, like, when I left the game, when I kept doing the post-game interviews after the game, and you can catch those on Dime Dropper channel, how the Clipper fans are feeling, the atmosphere. I took a whole video. It was amazing. I'll be posted on Friday. But when I asked fans about, like, what was going on after the game, they didn't even talk about the game. They were mostly talking about the atmosphere, how it felt. You know what I'm saying? Because it's bigger than just one game in the playoffs, because this is like a rest of our lives moment. NBA TV, by the way, joke. I was listening to some of the highlights on that. Pathetic. I like Jared Greenberg as a sideline reporter and a host, not a freaking play-by-play commentator for the playoffs and one of our biggest games in our history. But anyway, 117-83. Kawhi led the way with 21. Zoo had 19. James had 20. Norm had 20. So you had a big four kind of night. But coming up, going to talk about what the distinct advantages are that we have that make me think, that Clips in 6 pick was pretty good. Might even be Clips in 5. Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. That's Monarch Money. All right, Clippers winning Game 3. We take a 2-1 series lead by a score of 117-83. I can't lie, being the 5 seed doesn't feel very familiar for me. In 2016 and 17, we were the 4 seed. 2012, we were the 5th seed, and we won against Memphis, so maybe the 5 seed is actually good juju. 2021, we were the 4 seed. 5 seed Clippers? Anyway. So when you win a game like this by this much, that's a statement. There's such a thing as like the off night. The Nuggets they didn't even have, the Nuggets shot 40% from the field and 27% from 3, which is really bad. And then 70% from the free throw line, whereas we shot 48% from the field, lights out from 3, 46%, 18 for 39. But we didn't shoot well from the free throw line, actually. 19 for 28. But one of those misses was Jordan Miller. One of those misses was Drew Eubanks. But still, Zubats being 3 for 6. Not great. And Derrick Jones 0 for 2. But honestly, when you win by 34, who cares? The turnover battle. We talked about that's the most important thing. Neither team turned the ball over 20 times, but the Denver Nuggets turned the ball over 16 times, and we turned the ball over just 11 times. So again, whoever has won the turnover battle has won the game. 2-1. So if the Clippers can just take care of the ball, and here's the thing, when we talk about advantages, there's a reason for all those stats. You see those stats, okay, you can see some basic things and put two and two together. Nuggets missed shots, Clippers made shots. Clippers didn't turn the ball over, Nuggets didn't turn the ball over. Yes, that's what happened, but why? Why did it happen? Well, there was no real matchup change. The Nuggets, the first couple possessions, came out in like a 1-2-2 zone. And I'm going to be honest, they might have a better chance guarding the Clippers in a zone the whole game, which NBA teams just don't do that because there's just a lot of shooting on the floor. But even when there wasn't this much shooting on the floor, teams did not play zone. So, because it killed you on the glass. Because back in the day, you would have two bigs and they would kill you on the glass against zone. So it's pick your poison. You know what I'm saying? But I think they have a better chance of guarding us playing zone for extended stretches than playing man. Because if they're going to continue to allow Jamal Murray to guard Harden and Kawhi, I mean, we have an option there that we can abuse. You know what they haven't even tried, which is very funny to me, is they haven't tried Murray ISOing against Norm or Harden, but that's because they want to run things through Jokic. But it's something they should potentially consider because it doesn't feel like Harden's getting tested defensively at all on ball. Although I would say that Harden's defense is worse off ball. And he's been pretty good. Norm, I mean, he had some moments in this game off ball that weren't great, but he's another guy you can test defensively, and they haven't done any of that. So, because it feels like Chris Dunn and Kawhi are actually in so many of the defensive actions for us. And that means that they're not doing their best job of, exploiting any small weak links we have defensively. And that's the thing. I'm not even saying that Harden or Norm are a weak link because we haven't necessarily seen them get abused at any point this season. Whereas we literally abused Jamal Murray in game 2 and 1 for stretches with Harden in game 1 and Kawhi in game 2. And then there's the other conversation to be had that our big man is much better defensively than theirs. And I know it's not popular to say anything negative about guys like Jokic with that kind of all-time stature, which he does. But every time he gets put in the action, we get a great shot. It's not just a good shot. We get a really good shot. And obviously every time is an exaggeration. There's like a time in the beginning of this game where I think he got a deflection and got a steal. But this game, they were pretty much just hedging with Jokic the whole time. And when Zoo was in. And it's like Zoo has gotten to the point where he can make a 4-on-3 read very well. And when Chris Dunn is shooting 2 for 4 from 3, and Nico Batum is 4 for 6 from 3, and Kawhi is 3 for 6 from 3, and Norm is 3 for 8 from 3, and Harden 3 for 8. So you had a bunch of guys hitting threes. Derrick Jones 2 for 3. It's going to be rough. Because what happens is when they double, and this is where you got to give James Harden a lot of credit. Why? Because we used to struggle with Jokic hedging on ball screens with Kawhi and Paul. But because Harden is such a good passer, and he's so comfortable in the pick and roll, he makes that first pass. And that first pass is what unlocks it. Because that gives you the 4-on-3. We didn't used to get those 4-on-3s. Harden has made it look easy. Because Kawhi and Paul, they just couldn't get rid of the ball enough. They weren't making the reads quickly enough. I also think the Nuggets' defense was better, though. Definitely better. I mean, when you have Case, the thing is, the Nuggets is they literally lost Jeff Green and Bruce Brown last year and did not replace them adequately. And then this year, they lose Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Christian Brown's had a hell of a year, but it's Westbrook on the bench, and that's it. And Westbrook can be hit or miss. And in this game, he was just missing and totally buying into what we're wanting him to do, which was shoot open threes. He got excited because he made some in game 1. And actually, no, he was hitting in game 2 as well. So he'd been shooting kind of well, but that can be fool's goal with Russ. So we're going to live with it. And then at first, I think he got injured. He didn't play the second half. The reason I say I think is because I haven't read anything, but I'm pretty sure he got injured. He turned his ankle, I believe. So I hope he's okay, just for the sake of the series. I don't think it really matters because, look, Russ has his limitations offensively as a shooter. And if he's going to keep shooting those type of shots, we're totally okay with that. The thing is, the Nuggets just don't have a good defensive team, and they don't have the offensive pieces and firepower to make up for that anymore. Michael Porter Jr. looks like he's completely lost in this series right now. He's been playing through a lot of pain. He's playing. Some people have said he's 20% healthy. It's like, all right, then, bro, like, then don't play. Because, like, I don't want to hear it. Like, you know what I mean? I can tell he's trying to play through pain for his fan base and for his team. And that's the thing. He probably feels as though if I don't play, there's no chance because we don't have any depth. When Kawhi's playing like this, like, I know Jokic is Jokic and he's getting triple doubles and stuff, but there's something to be said about that. One is getting blatantly attacked defensively, and the other one you don't want to attack defensively. There's just something to be said. I'm not saying Kawhi is better than Jokic, but it matters. We just actually want to be honest about basketball. It does matter because we're abusing. I mean, what are the Nuggets going to do? Because when Ben Simmons came in, they tried to play drop coverage because they're like, oh, let's just take Harden away, make him make the pocket pass, and then make Ben do something and shoot because Ben can't shoot. Well, Jokic, like, if you're playing drop on James Harden, he's walking into threes. And the problem with Jokic is if he presses up even more, Harden's just going to get around him. He's too slow-footed. So there's no solution for them. And then their backup center, by the way, genius move by Ty Lue adjustment-wise. And honestly, like, if we're being real, Ty Lue is running circles around this coaching staff. Ty Lue and Jeff Van Gundy and them, our coaching staff, Brian Shaw, they're running circles around these guys right now. And I'm going to talk about what I mean coming up. But the moral of the story is there's just too many advantages for us. They cannot guard us the way we can somewhat guard them. Jokic has a triple-double and he lost by 34. So we're going to talk about what Ty Lue's doing such a good job of coming up. All right, Clippers winning game 3, the first night at Intuit Dome for a playoff game, 117-83. Shot better than the Nuggets on the field, shot better than from 3, did not shoot better from the line, had 10 more rebounds than them, 48-38. Had more assists, 26-20, but that's going to be a thing when you make more shots. Took better care of the ball. Our largest lead was 34. Their largest was 7. As far as, Murray, he actually had 23 points on efficient shooting too, so that's what's very concerning. Like the Locked On Nuggets guys that I collabed with before the show, Swipa, I haven't seen what Ryan has really said, but Swipa and Matt, they're literally waving the white flag. I don't know if it's an anti-jinx attempt, but they're literally acting like this series is done. I'm never going to say that because I'm a Clipper fan, and we blew a 3-1 lead to this core. You know, the MPJ, Murray, Jokic trio. So and look, we're Clipper fans. We know that it doesn't matter just because of that one series. It's not just because of one series that we fear choking. You know what I'm saying? We've blown 2-3-1 leads in the last 11 years. So not trying to do that again, but I am trying to go up 3-1. So next game is going to be very important. Now, I think next game is going to be close because if it's not, then we better win this series. But I think it's going to be close because Jokic, Murray, these guys are champs. They're going to come back. It's going to be a tight game, and we're going to have to obviously dig a little deeper. But the fact that Jokic had a 23-point triple-double and shot very efficiently, and Jamal Murray shot efficiently, 8 for 15, didn't shoot well from 3, 1 for 4, and had 23 points, and Aaron Gordon had 15 points, and they still got absolutely destroyed. They only got 6 points off the bench. And again, if Westbrook is... Here's the thing about Westbrook. We can criticize him for being 1 for 5 and shooting 5 threes in 9 minutes, which is absurd. But defensively, he helps them. Rebounding, he helps them. And they just don't have many better basketball players than him. He's legitimately their 6th man. There's nobody even in competition for it. And Peyton Watson, I like him because he went to UCLA, but he's a good defender, but offensively, he's horrific for an NBA player. So this Nuggets team, when they lost to Minnesota last year and they came out and didn't get any better, they just got Westbrook and lost KCP. That's part of why Calvin Booth doesn't have a job. This team is not good enough anymore, and it's very dependent on Jamal Murray being amazing, and I just don't think he's going to be able to be amazing against our defense. Kawhi Leonard, was 7 for 17. 21, 11, and 6. 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers on 7 for 17 shooting, 3 for 6 from 3, and 4 of 5 from the foul line. 7 for 17. She didn't even shoot that crazy. He shot under 50%. We still won by 34. Zubac's shooting 8 for 12 and having 19 and 9. That's like pedestrian numbers for Zoo. Like, that's just what he does. James Harden, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. Not even the best third quarter by him. 6 for 14 from the field and 3 for 8 from 3 and 5 for 6 on the foul line. Is that uncharacteristic of James Harden? Not at all. And I have to say, I mean, the way he has started this series, personally, this is just my opinion. I think his series last year against Dallas was overrated. I think Paul George was so bad that everybody's like, oh man, Harden had these 2 great games and didn't, play as bad in the losses, that he had a great series. No, he had 2 good games and the rest of them were not very good. This series, I'm going to stand here and say he has had 3 good games, which is more than last, in my opinion. I think James Harden has already had 3 good games. And that and it's because of the matchup too. It's really because of the matchup, but you got to give it to him, man. He's playing great. He's got a lot of skeptics about him in the playoffs, including me to some degree. Not as much first round. You need to be a good defensive team to beat James Harden. That's something that's like established, though. If you really look at his career, when he's become this offensive machine, 2017 Spurs were a good defense. Warriors, 2018 and 19, we always talk about their 3-point shooting. They were a good defense. 2020 Lakers, best defense really in the league to me. In the playoffs, it was clear. And then that Bucks team, good defense. The Miami Heat in 2022, good defense. Boston 2023, good defense. Mavericks made those additions, became a good defense. You can't be a bad defensive team and beat James Harden. And maybe everybody's overlooked that fact. When you think about it, these guys are not good enough defensively. I'm sorry, but to me, Norman Powell, James Harden was awesome. He was really carving them apart in pick and roll. Kawhi was Kawhi. I mean, his defense is fantastic. It's just amazing seeing, like, having that feeling of having Kawhi back where the 50-50 ball is going to go into his hands because his hands are ridiculous. And he just has, like, great hand-eye coordination. He's just a special basketball player, It's just amazing. Like, you just forget because it's, like, how many games he's missed for us. And by the way, that's, like, another subplot of this whole thing is, like, Kawhi Leonard, this was his first game healthy in front of a sold-out Clipper playoff crowd after 6 years. I mean, it was amazing. And he didn't even have the craziest game, but it was seeing him healthy, seeing him make open threes, seeing him make defensive plays. I didn't think it was ever going to be, I'd have to wait till a new stadium to root for that when we got him on July 5th, 2019, but how special it was. But Norman Powell, I think, I talked about Batum, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, no turnovers on 4 for 6 shooting, and all his shots were threes in 27 minutes. Just sublime, plus 23. The dude is just like one of the most universally loved Clippers we've ever had, ever. And man, I'm so appreciative of him and what Ty Lue's been able to do to really build this rapport with him over these last couple of years. Because before Nico came to the Clippers, we all thought he was washed and that, he had one of the worst contracts in the NBA with Charlotte. And everybody was like, he sucks now. And he's literally revived his career. And he's credited Ty Lue for that. I'm going to talk about Ty in a second. But Zoo was just, another night at the office. Amazing. Just great defense, rebounding, finishing. And by the way, before I go to the Ty Lue stuff, Derrick Jones Jr., 10 points, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 2 blocks, and a turnover on 4 for 8 shooting and 2 for 3 from deep in 23 minutes. I thought he was great. Chris Dunn, amazing, 6 points, 8 rebounds, including 4 offensive rebounds, 1 block on 2 for 5 shooting and 2 for 4 from 3, and those 2 were in the first quarter. Bogey, quiet, only 10 minutes, is really kind of getting phased out of the rotation a bit. 2 points, got a shot in garbage time, 3 assists, 1 for 3 from the field, but I actually thought he had some decent defensive moments, some solid closeouts and contests. Was 0 for 2 from 3, though. But here's what I was going to say. Ty Lue has really run circles around this coaching staff, and we never give the guy credit. It's whenever we win, it's always the players. Whenever we lose, it's the coach. I guess it's just the worst job to be an NBA coach these days Now we have a new one with Ty Lue. It's all Jeff Van Gundy. It has nothing to do with Ty. I mean, and then when Brian Shaw was coach, we know like it's just crazy the agendas. It's crazy that we just are allergic to giving coaches credit because I mean, look, we just don't give coaches grace for making mistakes over the course of an 82 game season. Everybody makes mistakes, and what we don't know is the backstories of what's going on at practice, in the locker room, the personal relationships that are going on. You know, we just judge what's happening and saying, oh, this is a suspect rotation. Oh, why aren't we doing this more on offense? But a lot of the criticisms for coaches are just the same recycled BS around the league. And it oftentimes comes from guys that couldn't coach their way out of a recreational 9 and 10-year-old league, like let alone NBA. So Ty Lue, we look at the adjustments in this series, you know, the way we had that little, you know, that peel switch in the drop coverage and then double Jokic. You know, the first game, fans were saying, let's let Jokic beat us. But what we've done is, you know, we'll let Jokic make some tough shots, but overall, we're going to send two at him when we get that switch or when they get the switch that they want, per se, and rely on our rotations. And when we didn't do a good enough job spacing in game one, when Kawhi got, you know, doubled and loaded up on, we made sure that we adjusted and had somebody flash in the middle. Again, that's basic basketball. I don't even want to give coaches credit for that. But because everybody wants to hold it against the coach when players don't do basic stuff, I'm going to start giving them credit when they do basic stuff because that's how you want to do it. If you want to be consistent, right? So that was a great adjustment. And then having Zoo come out in the 6 minutes left in the first or whatever, and it's actually a big risk allowing Ben Simmons to essentially play against Jokic and guard him. And I thought he did actually a really good job in the first quarter of this game, bodying him up, picking up at half court. You know, Jokic gets to the paint still, but then we double, and now they have some of their non-shooters in that second unit with Russ, with Watson. So we get to play off of them a little bit. And it really has worked out great because I think we've kind of figured out their substitution pattern. And we're like, okay, when Jokic comes in with those worst players, we can go small, double, and then rotate. And then when Joker comes out, we'll have Zoo just dominate them because they have no backup center except for DJ, who came in, and it was cool seeing the worlds collide. But they're going to have to probably go with Jokic's matching up his minutes with Zoo because when he's out and Zoo's in, it's over for them. So, like, to me, and we've had a counter for like, they can't guard our pick and roll. I don't know what adjustments they can really make, but and the more than anything is our team is so motivated right now. Like the part of being a good coach is, yes, the X's and O's stuff, but are you getting the most out of your guys? And there's no doubt that Ty Lue has. And for 5 years, this guy has done that for the most part. He's had almost every single player on his side. He's revived the careers of the likes of Reggie Jackson, Nicholas Batum, and built great relationships with our stars. You know, Kawhi and Paul George and Westbrook and Harden seem to all have a great relationship with him. Westbrook, I think that was more about Lawrence Frank that didn't like him, but it seemed like they always had a mutual respect. Harden, Kawhi, and Paul George seem to really respect him. And then he's done an amazing job elevating role players. Is he a perfect coach? No. But a lot of teams around the league would kill to have Ty Lue be their coach. And it seems like everyone's high on Ty Lue except for Clipper fans. Yet he's the only coach to lead us to a conference finals. He's doing a great job right now. He's got a great staff behind him. And again, being an assistant coach, they don't get enough credit either. But then now you want to use them to push your anti-head coach agenda by saying they're doing all the work. I give Jeff Van Gundy a ton of credit. I can see how locked in he is defensively. I love Van Gundy, even as a commentator. But Ty Lue deserves a ton of credit for what's going on right now. He's been amazing all year, and he's the only coach in the last 4 years of the NBA that does not get to have his star player finishing a postseason. And now that you're getting to see it, you can see how good of a coach you can look. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Actually, you know what? Forget that. I got one more thing to say. That was just one of the most special nights like I've ever had in my life, and I want to build off that. I want to keep getting louder, and I want everybody to keep buying into this. But I just want to say, like, the amount of people that came up for post-game interviews, the amount of people that asked for a picture, which is insane to me tonight. Like, I never thought in a million years when I first started going to games and sitting in the nosebleeds of Staples Center with my family that it would ever, my fandom with the Clippers would ever turn into anything like this. And I've always been like, I was the kid in, you know, the 300 section with my back against the wall. And I used to chant defense all game. And there was so many empty seats throughout the season. And I would always just hope that, people would hear me chanting defense with my squeaky ass kid voice, and that would cause the next person in the 300 section to chant defense, and then it would, make its way around the stadium, and that's how it would get going. That was my mentality. And to see our team be bought by this guy who could not be more polar opposite than that other guy, and you see him on the first basket when Norman Powell makes that three, the first basket of the game, he looks like he's literally spazzing, but in the best way ever. What he has created for us, the hope that he's given me for long-term success, like, it's actually life-changing. When I invest this much of my life into this team and supporting this team, and he makes the experience this much more enjoyable, and like this much more enjoyable is like an understatement. Like, he's literally changed the entire thing. I couldn't be in more awe of, those last couple years at Staples Center. And if you probably go back and check my locked ons and my pods for that, I was saying, our crowd hasn't sounded properly loud in playoff games in years besides that Terrence Mann game. Even the conference finals, very underwhelming. This was special. To see the crowd rise at the end of the first and second quarters like that in unison, the way that we once did for Lob City. It's a dream come true. To see the timeline, everybody on Twitter, all these big media people saying how great the atmosphere was, talking about how much better it was in the Lakers crowd. Like, I live for this stuff. I truly live for it. And to see a record number of people for post-game interviews, I mean, I'm just so blessed, dude. Like it's really special to be a part of this and to do what I do. And I hope we win this series. This next game is going to be everything. I don't want to be 2-2 going back to Denver. 3-1 still scares me just as much because I'm a Clipper fan, but I'm just so thankful. Like, I'm just really, really, this in the grand scheme of things, this series, it doesn't really matter. Like, it does matter a lot, but it doesn't, because what happened tonight or what happened on Thursday night, it's like it just set a tone for the rest of our lives as fans. And Kawhi being healthy for the first game in the new stadium, it's like symbolic, almost like the good juju of this new arena and a franchise that has had anything but good juju in its history. I'm like almost emotional. Like, I'm just really thankful. I'm really thankful, for real. And I can't wait for the ride to continue. I'm not crying. I'm not crying, but I'm almost crying. So that means we got to end the episode because I can't be caught tearing up on camera. That cannot happen. It has never happened, and it's not going to start. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Make sure you subscribe because let's keep going. We need to pass Locked On Nets and Locked On Spurs, baby. They're not even in the playoffs. And the Locked On Clippers daily newsletter at LockedOnDaily.com. Make sure you sign up for that. And if you want to hear the thoughts of Clipper Nation and the experience in the first playoff game at Intuit, go to Dime Dropper YouTube. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. Have a great weekend. I'll see y'all on Saturday. Damn, it's like 6 in the morning. Have a good morning. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Go Clips.